the community, particularly the vulnerable ones. The NYC also recognizes the importance of grassroots campaigns in the eradication of nationwide problems such as drug abuse. It is suggested to use standardized indicators and data collection tools in monitoring and the implementation of anti-illegal drug programs, projects, and activities at the local level. Also, the NYC proposes to consider the release of an executive order solely for the Anti-Drug Abuse Council, or ADACS, amending EO number 66, 2018, to provide a clearer guideline and all penalties for non-compliance of LGUs. Lastly, it is recommended to include BADAC in the final version of the bill and to capacitate all ADACs through intensive gender sensitivity and human rights trainings. Likewise, for handling of juveniles who will be involved in the operation or drug-related cases, lawful or just handling of cases shall also be well considered. Yan lang po, Mr. Chair.
Maraming salamat, Ma'am Leah Villalon ng NYC. Thank you po. Regards mo ako kay Yusek Ronald Cardima.
Yes po.
Thank you. Thank you. Go to DUTERTE. You have the floor, sir.
To our honorable senators, thank you very much. On behalf of our Vice President and Secretary of Education, Sir DUTERTE, I would like to thank you for inviting us and welcoming us to the Senate. And I'd like to manifest our support for the institutionalization of the Anti-Drug Abuse Councils and the LGUs, particularly because the Department of Education fully supports any and all measures that help us strengthen the National Drug Education Program, more so as we intensify our campaign, our joint campaign with the Dangerous Drug Board's KAKA Contra Droga campaign. And furthermore, we believe that this would serve as a good supporting mechanism because this can help abuse prevention education to all learners, more so that this is a potential complement to the current mandate our president and the growing campaign for the return of the mandatory ROTC. Because I just came from the DND, dear Senator, and we were able to discuss the potential inclusion of drug abuse education prevention within the program itself. And having this council will definitely be helpful in that manner. With that being said, we would like just to add a quick recommendation and propose that the Interagency Committee on Illegal Drugs, or ICED or ICAD, to have oversight functions on the Anti-Drug Abuse Council so that we can have this better coordinated and all of the programs of the President and the Vice President can be better manifested through the councils, both locally and nationally. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir, for that manifest of support. And alam mo po ba ninyo sa DepEd na the youngest drug dependent that surrendered during our Uplan Tukhang was 9 years old. 9 years old is grade 2, grade 3, grade 3. Grade 3. Nag-surrender. Isipin mo, 9 years old pa siya, tapos sisirain na yung utak niya sa Cebu. Very young age, natulo yung utak sa Cebu. Kaya kawawa ang bata. Kaya talagang kailangan natin yung whole of nation approach dito sa droga, labanan sa droga. Just like what INDAY is doing to insurgency, which obviously they are becoming very successful, ito rin sa drugs. Dahil nga, yung nation approach rin ginagawa natin doon sa ating anti-drug campaign, but masyado kasing masalimot ang mundo ng droga dahil ang pera dito, grabe. Hindi basta-basta mag-surrender yung mga involved dito dahil sa laki ng pera na involved. Kaya kailangan pagtutulong-tulungan talaga natin ito. Whole of nation approach ang gagawin natin. Lahat ng ahensya ay dapat magtulong-tulungan. Thank you for that. Please extend our regards to your good Secretary or Vice President. Thank you very much. Now, let's proceed with ang suki natin from DOJ, Attorney Coibas. Attorney, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good afternoon, Your Honors. From the Department of Justice, we interpose no constitutional or legal objection to the proposed bill, the intention of which is we find laudable, that is, to have a continuous, active, and unified involvement of various government and non-government agencies to sustain the gains of the government in its fight against illegal drugs and to promote drug-free local government units by institutionalizing ADACs. In sum, the department, as in previous Congress, supports the enactment of the bill. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Your Honors.
Kaya Atty. Cuevas, last kitang tinawag dahil very sweet to pakinggan yung sinasabi mong there's no constitutional and legal objections and dito sa proposed mission. Music to our ears. Thank you salamat. Isabi sa yung Secretary ng Justice, Secretary Remulla. Thank you very much. So, nakapagsalita na lahat dito na physically present. Can we hear, meron pa bang sa online na hindi ka magsalita? DBM. Oh, DBM. Please, I have the floor. DBM. Ikaw okay na yung Department of Finance, ha? Hindi na sila nagreklamo. DBM. You have the floor, ma'am. DBM.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairperson.
Yes, ma'am.
As well, Senator Bato Dela Rosa and Senator Robin Hood Padilla. Good afternoon as well to the committee secretary and the different representatives from various agencies. I am Nihal. I am representing our Director Judith Quiazon of the Department of Budget and Management, Budget Information Legislative Service. The DBM will be submitting its final position paper on the proposed bills, but nevertheless, upon initial perusal of the bills, we interpose no objection to the establishment of the ADACs. Nevertheless, we would like to note our comment on Section 4, particularly Item 3 of Senate Bill number 470, where it mandates at least 2% of the annual appropriations of local government units for anti-illegal drug-related programs, activities, and operations. We are of the view that mandating at least 2% of the annual appropriations of LGU funds for the purpose of the bill may be onerous on the part of local government units belonging to lower income class. That would be all, Mr. Chair. Yun lang po yung concern namin na based on the principle of local fiscal autonomy granted to LGUs as enshrined also in the 1987 Constitution. Baka onerous lang po siya na i-mandate yung at least 2% on the part of LGUs na belonging to lower income classes. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, ma'am. Ismail ako kanina, akala ko nagbago na yung stand ninyo dyan So, you're consistent pala. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. That has been well taken noted during the last Congress. Talagang kaya nga namin binago yung final draft namin at nagbibiin na lang rin si Secretary Coy at saka sila Yusik Sabidra. But anyway, meron pa tayong hearing, but still, we'll take in po ma'am yung inyong punto dito sa 2%.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
Ma'am,
Thank you very much po.
Thank you, ma'am. Ganda na pangalan mo, Nihal.
Thank you.
Mahal.
Mahal ko
Nihal.
po ang
Thank you,
Pilipinas.
ma'am.
Mahal ko po ang Pilipinas.
Ay, salamat. Pati ba tayo nagmamahal sa Pilipinas? Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Salamat, ma'am. Next, we give the floor to LPP. Sinong nandyan? League of Provinces of the Philippines, si Angelica Sanchez. Ma'am, you have the floor.
Yes, good afternoon, Mr. Chair, Senator Dela Rosa,
Yes, go ahead.
and Senator Padilla. Yes po, Mr. Chair, alam ko po ngumingiti na kayo kanina nagsalita ang DBM. However, we have to echo the position of DBM po. Kasi not all provinces, especially yung nasa lower level provinces po, will be able to shoulder the 2% funding. Although we understand that there is really a need to peg sana. Pero siguro if we may suggest dun sa 2%, baka pwede nang po since the anti-drug programs are basically for peace and order, baka naman po pwedeng i-source natin from the peace and order fund. This is discretionary. Baka sakali lang po, Mr. Chair. And then at the same time, dun sa 2 plantilla positions, we have a little bit of a challenge there, Mr. Chair, kasi pag nagdagdag pa tayo ng dalawang positions, the DOF, specifically the BLGF, can bear us out. Marami na pong LGUs ang lumalampas sa 45-55 personnel and limitations. So that is the second second reservations, Mr. Chair. However, we are not we will not oppose any objections kung sakaling pwede siya munang designation in the event na hindi kayang mag-hire ng LGU ng personnel, for plantilla personnel for the anti-drug offices. And then, especially ang aming ano dyan sa 2%, we're also looking at the case of the barangays. Baka naman po hindi na talaga nila kakayanin ng budget, Mr. Chair. Yun lang naman po. And then we will be submitting our official position paper as soon as it is signed by our President, Governor Tumayo, who incidentally wanted to attend, kaya lang po hindi na siya nakaabot dahil yung flight niya is late in the morning. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yes, ma'am. Salamat po. Salamat po. Thank you very much. Yung concern mo tungkol doon sa additional plantilla position, yung sinadjust ng PNP, suggestion pa lang naman yun. I-consider natin talaga yung inyong kahirapan dyan dating sa ganong appointments. Thank you po, ma'am. At saka yung 2%, siguro, kausapin na lang natin ng DDB yung DILG na baka pwedeng kausapin yung mga LPP, yung OLAP, yung bahala na yung DILG kung kakayanin nila. Kung kakayanin nila, di ba mas maganda? Pero kung hindi, anyway, this committee is very flexible. Hindi po tayo nagmamatigas dito. We are here to complement each other. We are here to help each other pass this law na napakagandang objective. So, huwag po kayo mag-alala, ma'am. We're taking care of po yung position ninyo. Salamat po. Next is Attorney Cathy Alvarez of Street Law. You are around, ma'am? Attorney Cathy Alvarez, Street Law.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good afternoon.
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead. You have the floor. You have the floor.
Thank you. Once again, I would like to thank the committee for allowing us to share our views this afternoon. My name is Attorney Cathy Alvarez. I'm the Executive Director of Street Law PH. We are an organization working with the different institutions of the criminal justice system to work for access to justice for many of our marginalized communities. These include working with our judiciary, the BJMP, where we provide capacity building trainings, as well as with different local government units, including answering some of their concerns and questions regarding the implementation of the Anti-Drug Abuse Councils. First of all, I would like to thank Senator Robin Hood Padilla for mentioning the situation in our jails. We echo the same observation because we also see the same situation during our jail visits. So thank you po very much, Senator Padilla, for taking note of the situation in our detention facilities. So we look at these bills, Senate Bill 470 and 203, as opportunities where we can address the gap when it comes to laws and policies on genuine community-based rehabilitation and treatment programs. Because while we believe that there are sufficient laws and policies to support law enforcement operations, we also recognize that there is truly a gap when it comes to our laws and policies on community-based programs. We also echo the position of the Department of Health and reiterate the Philippine government's anti-drug strategy mentioned earlier, formulated under the leadership of the Dangerous Drugs Board in 2018, recognizing the importance of a public health and social welfare approach to the issue of drugs. And in line with this, we support the creation of councils which are led by health and social welfare officers in the LGUs, consistent with the PAD's recognition of the public health approach and social welfare approach. As such, we are looking at the possibility of revisiting the provisions that include indicators for our councils, where instead, for example, of quarterly drug clearing targets, we would like to propose instead, how about including indicators that would check our health and social welfare goals, consistent with genuine community-based programs. So we also wanted to mention that the Philippine government at present, and this includes the Department of Justice, the Department of Health, the Dangerous Drugs Board, and the Department, and the DDB. Sorry, the DDB is the Dangerous Drugs Board. I apologize. Have implemented for the past year and for the next 2 years the UN Joint Program together with the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, as well as other relevant UN agencies. Where in this joint program there have been commitments to take the public health and social welfare approach when it comes to the issue on drugs. And the program also includes very specific indicators for community-based programs, which may be helpful to the committee in checking the provisions of our pending Senate bills. And as such, we would also like to recommend, with the kind permission of the committee, that perhaps it would be helpful to include the participation of the UN Office of Drug and Crime with regards to the UN joint program with the Philippine government in future discussions and public hearings. And with the kind permission of the Honorable Committee, we would like to submit our written position paper after this hearing. And we look forward to participating further in future discussions. Again, thank you very much for the opportunity to share our views, Mr. Chair. And thank you again, Senator Padilla. We truly appreciate your concern for the situation of our persons deprived of liberty. Daghang salamat.
Thank you, Ma'am Cathy Alvarez. Daghang salamat sa mga inputs mo. Thank you very much. Now, let's hear from Ms. Maria Ines Feria from Nubay, PH. Ano, Bax? Ginawa mo wala itong X eh. Kaya Nubo yung basa ko. Nubax, PH. Ma'am, go ahead, you have the floor.
Thank you, Senator Dela Rosa.
Ano pala yung pakita? You're so beautiful, ma'am. Please share your face to us. Please, ma'am, continue, ma'am.
Very kind. So thank you again. Actually, I echo a lot of the things that Attorney Kathy has already shared. So I won't repeat it so much. Pero I wanted to say lang na, yes, because of that gap, malaki talagang pwedeng gawin ng community-based programs and services. So we think this is a golden opportunity, kumbaga, to actually put together the genuine community-based programs and services that really benefit our community members. And for this, I wanted to point out now sa bills that we read, the bills that we were able to read, na it highlights the need for a continuum of services. Kaya ang ganda dito is that we don't have just one particular service or program, but because we know that drug use and problems that are associated with drug use are really a result of different factors pertaining to health, social economic factors. Kaya ang ganda na bring up about health. And in fact, Senator Dela Rosa, I will echo what you have said as well in the past, where drugs are a health and social concern, I quote, and that there is a need to, quote, support and strengthen the country's public health approach to the drug response. So ito eksakto, no? So I think what's key with community-based programs is they need to be readily accessible. Nasabi na to, no, na parang what we want to make sure is that people will be able to go and receive these services that we are providing them, no? And you also cited some bills that there needs to be an active coordination among a number of health, social, and other non-specialist services to meet the client's needs. And I think that's a great recognition that this is not only a health concern that we're talking about, but about the total well-being of the individual and subsequently the community. One of the things that was mentioned was about the rehab referral desk, which I thought was a great idea because, again, accessibility, what we would want is that people would know where to go and that there would be immediate responses doon sa pangangailangan nila, that they can actually be linked to the proper and appropriate services, no? And sometimes that's what's happened in the communities because we do engage with communities, hindi nila alam kung saan pupunta. Ang key lang dito siguro sa community-based programs in designing them is that kailangan natin tingnan siguro that there has, what was mentioned already by Attorney Kathy, the shifted indicators, na sana yung objective in having community-based programs is not to reduce quote-unquote drug affectation, but really to promote the health, safety, and well-being of the individuals and the communities. So titingnan natin at the local government level is how do we now incorporate and integrate the functions of the Anti-Drug Abuse Council with the other councils on women, on youth development, all of those working together. Ang isa din na key is about having community-based programs that are voluntary. From our experience and from the evidence, hindi kailangan ilagay sa listahan yung tao para mag-access ng services. What we need to do is create these services and programs in a way that they feel okay, safe, and comfortable to approach them. Nakikita to pupunta at pupunta kung yung mga programa and services are those that are relevant to their lives and that they need, no? The other thing also is that's why we also agree na sana i-revisit na this Anti-Drug Abuse Council would be led by health and social welfare. In the same way how the bills are saying that this Anti-Drug Abuse Councils would be good to have close coordination with UH and DSWD. Again, because of the intersections of health, social, economic issues. Siguro, we can take this also in the context of nabanggit na rin yung UN Joint Program where there's a commitment by the Philippine government to transition to community-based programs and services which are voluntary. So siguro yun yung pwedeng pag-usapan at kailangan tutukan paano
natin maging voluntary so that yung mga programa at services natin ay lalapitan ng mga tao. They do want to take care of themselves. And I think we're not starting from zero. And this is something that we can put our heads together and design together, kumbaga. So siguro, one of the things that I wanted to point out again, with regards to not needing for people to be included in the list and to be forced to access these services, because they will come if the services are the appropriate ones, if the services are ones that they need, and if the services are provided in a way where they feel safe and okay to access them. They will. The evidence is there, and we have seen it happening. So, yun, siguro for now, I will leave it at that, and if, with your permission, submit as well the position paper of the box, where we could detail some of these things here. So, thank you again, Senator Dela Rosa, and everyone here.
Thank you, ma'am. Ano yung MOBOX Philippines, ma'am? NGO?
Yes, we're a non-profit organization. In fact, actually, we have met once already before, so a few times. So I was hoping to be there in person, but unfortunately couldn't make it. But hoping that we get the opportunity to join more of your meetings and discussions, and we would love to be there in person.
Okay po, ma'am. Maraming salamat for your
Thank you po.
critical ideas coming from a very beautiful resource person. Salamat po, ma'am. Thank you. We'll take into lahat ng inputs nyo. Salamat.
Salamat.
Thank you. Sinong, wala na?
Wala na po, sir.
So, wala na tayong pag-usapan? Ano? Adjourn na? Ha? Sure ka? Ha? Diretso na tayo. Diretso na. Bilis ito. Sir, yun lang, Sir Yusek Llamas, pertaining to the 2%, yung palaging nagreklamo tayo yung ulap, yung mga ano pa yung, NPP, League of Provinces of the Philippines, yan palaging ayaw nila yung 2%. So, just kung kayo mag-experiment na kausapin sila na
Yes, sir.
wala kong problema, pero hindi rin sila makumbinse,
Konsultahin pa rin mo namin sila.
konsultahin din.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you, ha?
Opo.
Maraming salamat. Meron ka pa sabihin?
Sir, pahabol lang very quickly. Technical review na lang din kami in the meantime dito sa SINIPO ni DOF and the other attendees ng hearing regarding DILG-BDB Joint MC1 Series of 2018. Parang maklaro yung provisions ng 2% and at the same time, iloop na rin namin yung ibang mga parties na gustong makaintindi kung ano yung special provision na yun under the MC.
Huwag muna kayo mag-effort na i-invalidate yung circular yung memorandum, yung tawag yan, yung
Joint MC, sir. Yes, sir.
MC na yan, ha? Kasi yan natin fallback position.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Tayo
Yes,
talusap dito sa institutional decision natin dito, fallback position natin yan. So, I think, sir, go ahead.
Actually, it's more important na ma-institutionalize natin yung ADAW. Yung 2%, it's bonus na lang kung makuha natin. Mr. Chair.
Pero kung tayang kunin ng bonus, kunin pa rin natin, di ba? Kaya lang, pero kung hindi, wala tayong magawa. So, yun lang, meron pa sabihin, ma'am.
So if I may request lang pa the DDB kung if you have furnish a copy of the technical review so we can also study the provisions.
The technical review, Mr. Chair, to further clarify but not to recommend for the repeal. Yung po, just to contextualize.
Okay, thank you. Sinabi ko, klaro yun. So, Pinig, kumusta ang mga operations ninyo? Pinig ba kayo?
Yes, sir. Relentless operation, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Huwag niyong lubayan, ha? Continue.
Yes, sir.
Hindi masayang yung natin.
Yes, sir.
Ako nang bahala sa problema ko sa ICC.
Yes, sir.
Huwag na kayong problema dyan. Ako nang bahala doon.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Huwag kayong mag-alala. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your efforts. Again, I would like to thank everyone for your presence and your valuable contribution to this hearing. Alam nyo, sabi kagad ng komisik namin, adjourn na daw kagad. So wala nang hearing ito, tuloy-tuloy na ito sa sponsor ko na itong, kagad, yung committee report na ito, after this. So kung meron kayo mga pahabol, padala lang nyo habang hindi pa nagawa natin yung, kasi dalawang bill ito, gagawa tayo ng substitute bill para sa dalawang bills na ito para incorporate natin sa ating committee report. So kung wala na, maraming salamat, ha? Thank you. Thank you sa inyo lahat. Meeting is heavy adjourned.